In this video I'm going to introduce a new type of toolbar that is in CasaXPS 2.3.26. This is a toolbar that has been added with a view to offering processing operations. Previously the toolbar buttons have related to actions such as creating bitmaps, creating display state, or accessing dialog windows that allow processing or the creation of peak models. However, in this version of CasaXPS there are a set of toolbar buttons that have been collected on a toolbar that facilitate the use of PCA and linear algebra when applied to spectra in CasaXPS. I can illustrate the use of this toolbar if I look at a file that contains spectra that have low signal to noise, but there are sufficient spectra that if I sum all of these data, then I ought to produce a spectrum with good signal to noise. But before I can sum these data, I need to check that these spectra really are well aligned in terms of binding energy, so I don't degrade the energy resolution by summing the data. And one way of doing that mathematically is to perform a principal component analysis. The first abstract factor looks very much like the spectrum itself, and that's what we would hope for. And the idea is that these second, third and fourth and so on abstract factors, they ought to look like noise. That would be consistent with being able to sum these data to produce a single spectrum. Now these abstract factors, there are some variation here, but for the purposes of this video I'll assume that these are good enough that we can sum these data to produce a spectrum, and it'll be true for all of these spectra. So I'll now illustrate another one of these toolbar buttons. So I'll reset the data by using the toolbar, and if I select all of these spectra and then use a third toolbar button that says sum columns, then what will happen is a new VAMAS file will be created where the summation has occurred for each of the selected columns. So I should get a carbon, oxygen, 2 tantalum spectra and a valence band, and that's what happens. So the idea is that this summation can be performed quickly, whereas previously I would have had to have gone to the test data property page and selected the sum selected sample ID columns all files. This is the same type of operation. Rather than going to the dialog window, I can simply go to the toolbar. And all of these other buttons have a similar behavior. So these are all options for creating abstract factors. You can normalize. This is something that would previously been on the spectrum processing calculator property page. Rebinning spectra, where the intensity and the energy calibration needs to be aligned for uses with PCA or other linear algebra techniques. This would also have been available on the calculator property page. There's a button that was previously just on the Sims toolbar, and ways of copying data from one set of spectra, forming a new file containing the merged data, and so on. So all of these toolbar buttons are designed to support an application.